and I'm Sean Gale, Assistant City Manager and Spokesperson here at the City of Miramar. Thanks for joining us today. Today is the first in our series, Conversations with Mayor Messam. This will be done bi-weekly, so stay tuned for subsequent series with the mayor. But for right now, we are going to be talking with our mayor today about reopening activities in the city and in the county. Now, we want to let our viewers know that you can turn on closed captioning by using the gear tool in Facebook. And so you can turn on closed captioning by using that.
I don't hear anyone.
Today, we'll be focusing on the phased reopening of the city. And our mayor is joined today by our deputy city manager, Whittingham Gordon, and the fire chief, Robert Palmer. We'll be answering your questions directly, so take some time to go ahead and type them in the comment section. And Messam, we're seeing the cities and our state are reopening, and our residents and businesses are eager to find out what will that mean for me, when will it happen? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, good evening, everyone. And first, I would like to welcome everyone to Conversations with the Mayor. It will take place every other week, talking about our phased reopening plan, as well as other important notes for the city. You know, today and in the weeks ahead, I will lay out our phased reopening plan. First, let me say a special thank you to everyone for putting your health and safety first by staying home as much as possible. You know, most residents have heeded our stay-at-home order that was put into place in March, along with our facial covering order requiring for all of us to wear facial masks. Your cooperation has really helped the city to slow the spread of the virus here in the community. And on that note, as of today, the number of COVID cases in Miramar stands at 400. So obviously, we are by no means out of the woods just yet. I would like to appeal to everyone to continue to take the precautions that we've put in place when heading out to conduct essential business or for any form of recreation. Please wear your facial mask. I know it's not always the most comfortable thing to do, but the fact that many of us could be asymptomatic and showing no signs of illness at all is even more reason to wear our masks to protect ourselves and others. Remember, it doesn't need to be a surgical mask, which are the N95 masks that you've heard about. It can be any form of cloth covering, including a scarf or a bandana. Now, this coming Monday, May 18th, phase 1 of the city reopening plan will take effect. We will follow Broward County's reopening plans based on their executive order being finalized, which we are awaiting. And they are proposing a limited reopening of stores, restaurants at 25% capacity starting on Monday. This would include hair and nail salons. You may be aware that other areas of the state, including Palm Beach County, are already reopened on a limited basis, excluding Broward and Miami-Dade County. And it is anticipated that on Monday, May 18th, along with the city's reopening phase, that Broward County will move forward. And please stay up to date and in tune in regards to any updates regarding that limited opening for Broward County. Now, in terms of the city's reopening on Monday, May 18th, we will be opening up 11 of our parks here in the city of Miramar. Our residents will be able to go out for a stretch and get some fresh air while continuing to adhere to the CDC guidelines of maintaining 6 feet distance from others. Obviously, some other municipalities in Broward County have already opened up parks, but City of Miramar has taken a very measured approach in terms of us reopening certain amenities to the community as a precautionary measure. Now, along with this update of the phase 1 reopening, the order will allow gyms within homeowners associations to reopen as long as patrons stick to physical distancing and operators' strict adherence to sanitation protocols. Vulnerable individuals are highly encouraged to and should continue to shelter in place. Social gatherings of 10 or more people should be avoided, especially when social distancing from others may not be practical. We are asking all employers in the city to continue to encourage telework whenever possible, or allow workers to return to work in phases, or have workers on rotation. Daycares will remain closed and youth activities will remain canceled. Visits to senior living facilities will also still be prohibited. John?
Thank you so much, Mayor Messam. And to our viewers, please remember we're going to be taking your questions. So just type them in the comment section and be a part of this conversation. And at this time, we're going to be moving to our next panelist, who is Deputy City Manager Whittingham Gordon. So the mayor talked about some park openings. Mr. Gordon, can you just talk about those parks? What will happen? What will that reopening look like?
Thank you, Sean. Good evening, everyone. The Phase 1 park reopening will focus mainly on physical fitness and mental health while practicing social distancing. We're working to make sure that staff has the necessary personal protective equipment and enough sanitizing and cleaning products to ensure a clean and safe environment after reopening. As our mayor said, we will open 11 of our 40 parks, and out of the abundance of caution, some amenities like playground, basketball courts, and restroom will remain closed. Residents will be able to go for a stroll or a jog and enjoy walking the trails. Please limit your visit to 1 to 2 hours between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Residents will be required to wear a face covering. Signage will be posted throughout the parks with these guidelines so everyone is aware. Please call 954-602-HELP. That is 954-602-4357 if you need further assistance or to report any incident of non-compliance. Please let's work together to enjoy parks responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Gordon. Thank you for that information. Now we're going to move to our fire chief, because we know that at the forefront of any major health situation, emergency management has to be a part of that conversation. So we're going to hear from our fire chief. What can you tell our viewers?
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for that, Sean. The one thing that we want to obviously stress, 1 second, please, is that Emergency Management Division has been taking measures to ensure that we enter into Phase 1 of our reopening. All high traffic areas and buildings are constantly sanitized. This includes our city and our community buses. We're also making sure that staff has personal protective equipment they need, especially those on the front lines who deal with the public on a day-to-day basis. We have been in constant contact with the Broward County Emergency Management to ensure that critical supplies needed for city operations are received, and we are actively monitoring all state updates during this constantly changing event. Our department has been pushing out important text notifications to our residents, so please sign up so you can be the first to know what's happening. Text 888-777 to alert Miramar to opt in and receive our emergency notifications on COVID.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And now we want to be taking some questions from our audience. We're going to be going right now to a first question. And, we have been inside for so long. Everybody wants to know, when can I go out? When can I, walk? When can I exercise? So, Deputy Gordon, can you tell us, when will the other parks in Miramar be open?
For updates or follow us on social media at City of Miramar.
Deputy Gordon, I think we lost you there for a second. Can you tell us again when those parks will reopen?
The date for the next phase of the reopening has not yet been set, but please keep checking our website, MiramarFL.gov/coronavirus for updates, or follow us on our social media at City of Miramar. Thank you.
Awesome. Now, who will ensure when we get back into the park environment, and we know we have a face covering mandate, and we know that it's for the safety and welfare of all of the community, how will you ensure that the patrons to the parks are following the rules?
We will have staff stationed at some parks, and we'll have staff rotating at others. Miramar Police Department will also be assisting staff to ensure that residents comply with park guidelines.
Awesome. Now, question, very important question. When will basketball courts be open, and when can kids go back to organized sports programs?
Our basketball courts and other courts are currently closed, and the reopening will be announced in the next phase of our reopening plan. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, Mayor Messam, if you would talk to us a little bit about our summer camps. What does that program look like in the city of Miramar right now and for kids looking forward to summer?
Facilities will still be closed. So when you think about programs like the summer swim camp, sports, specialty camps, MiramarFL and Little Broadway, these programs will be closed for the summer program. I know that may be disappointing for some parents and even some of our youth that have become accustomed to these amenities, but we really have to stress the fact that even though the city of Miramar is entering into phase one reopening, we must reckon with the fact that the coronavirus is still there. And when we cannot ensure the proper compliance to CDC guidelines with social distancing, we cannot take that risk, especially putting our children at risk in those types of environments. But stay tuned in our phase two as we continue to get more data and more scientific information from agencies like the CDC, as well as from the Florida State Department of Health to provide the appropriate guidance. We'll be able to incorporate those guidance into our next phases of opening. So we just ask everyone for their patience. And as we begin to softly be able to allow certain activities to resume, we have to ensure that we are still serious about this disease. We will not sacrifice the public safety in regards to entering back into some form of normalcy until we are able to get to the point where we can safely be able to do so.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Now, from an emergency management standpoint, we want to talk a little bit about what does a reopening look like for the public? And if we can hear from emergency management, you know, what precautions should folks be taking as they go out and about in our parks and in our businesses?
One of the precautions that we obviously want to make is make sure that everyone's wearing their masks. Make sure that when they go into the parks on the CDC guidelines, that they make sure they're washing their hands for at least 20 seconds. They're avoiding close contact with people who are sick, even those in our homes. Maintain 6 feet of distance from others. Wear a mask around others. Cough and cover your sneezes. And definitely clean and disinfect your high-touch surfaces daily. These are things we want to maintain in order to keep everybody safe and hopefully avoid catching this disease.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Mayor Messam, if you could talk a little bit about, you know, this very, very difficult time. Individuals are having problems and difficulties with layoffs and furloughs, paying their bills. Can you talk a little bit about any kind of assistance that the city might have at this time, folks getting with to get some help?
Yes, excellent question. It is no secret that America and as well as many of our residents in the city of Miramar have faced some very difficult financial strains due to the fact of being laid off or perhaps not being able to open a non-essential business, and it really has taken its toll. The city of Miramar has repurposed some funding from the state that we would use and SHIP dollars for other programmings to offer rental assistance and utility bill assistance in the city of Miramar. It will be able to cover 3 months of rents as well as utility bills up to $7,000. There is limited resources for this, and it will be available beginning next week. Now, for all of the viewers that have taken the time to view this Facebook Live, you're getting fresh information. On May 18th, the city will have available and will launch a website specific for this financial assistance. The application phase, however, will begin March 22nd. You will have documents that you will have to bring forward. And for eligible residents, you will be able to apply for this assistance. So visit MiramarFL.gov for the link and for the information to get information on what documentations you will need. And you can begin early to prepare those documents. So by May 22nd, when the application period opens, you're first in line, you're able to apply for this financial assistance.
Thank you so much, Mayor Messam. Now we have some questions from our Facebook audience, and we're going to ask you to field a couple of them. Now, one viewer says, I totally understand the health situation and the precautions needed. However, is there a forecast or projected date to start reopening businesses in Miramar, like restaurants and nightclubs? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Excellent question. You know, as we prepare to roll out our phase 1 in the city of Miramar, obviously concurrently, the entire state and other counties and other municipalities are doing the same. Our initial phase 1 included the opening of some of our parks and relaxing some of those requirements in terms of prohibitions in entering these facilities. Concurrently, as you all may have heard, the governor has reopened much of the state. Initially, it was all of the states except for the Tri-County area, including Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade County. Last week, Palm Beach County reopened and received permission from the governor. As such, Broward County is considering reopening on their phase 1 for some businesses on Monday, May 18th. And barring any changes, that would include the opening of some non-essential businesses, including restaurants, up to 25% capacity of those restaurants. And it would also include businesses like salons and barbershops. So I would ask you to stay tuned for the county's emergency order. The order that will come forward from Broward County. Miramar will be in line with those orders and will comply with those orders. Now, what I would add, though, is that even when Broward County may open on May 18th, which will have all of the qualifying businesses and list them with that Broward County emergency order that will come from Bertha Henry, the county administrator, Miramar will follow suit. However, Miramar's emergency orders, for example, like the requirement to wear facial coverings, will be required. Remember, we cannot rest on our laurels. The coronavirus is still alive and out there, and it will infect those who are exposed and who are vulnerable. So we know that when we begin to softly open, we will have to require individuals to practice social distancing and also adhere to the city's order to wear facial coverings, including masks and cloth coverings over your faces.
Awesome, awesome. So another viewer wanted to know, Mayor Messam, will you provide an easily accessible list that we can refer to find out which businesses will reopen and their respective reopening dates?
Yes, so there will be information provided to the community if you just remember to visit MiramarFL.gov, and our coronavirus section will provide the appropriate links. It will be your one-stop portal to get the information that is provided by the City of Miramar, as well as some of our peer agencies at the county, state, and federal level. So that is the best recommendation to keep you informed of all the upcoming updates. And just to give you a glimpse in terms of the thought process, as we continue to roll out our phases, we will be providing information and resources that are industry specific for businesses as they are being allowed to reopen, pointing them to the appropriate resources on how they can continue to comply with CDC guidelines, as well as referring to many of the industry-specific recommendations, for example, for salons and for beauty salons, for grocery stores, for big retail establishments. You already have experienced what this may look like when you visit your neighborhood Publix or Winn-Dixie, or even if you had to go to Home Depot. Many of these essential businesses have already implemented many of these CDC guidelines into their business practices. And you can expect that other businesses, as they are being allowed to reopen, to follow suit and follow similar guidelines.
Awesome, thank you. So one question that one viewer has, it asks, will all daycare in Miramar remain closed? So can you speak to the fact that, we have Miramar run and operated daycare, and then there are private daycare. So could you talk about which daycare you're talking about?
Yes, so for example, the private facilities and establishments, for example, private daycare facilities will have to follow the mandates that will come out from the state as well as from the county, and any additional restrictions that the city of Miramar may impose. Currently, right now, daycares are not open. As you already know, that schools are closed right now. And I just encourage you to continue to just to stay posted on when these facilities will be available and under what precautionary measures that they will have to operate on once they do reopen.
So another question, Mayor Messam, you talked about a phase 1 reopening. And so this viewer wants to know, how many phases are we talking about for the duration of these phased openings until the city is fully functional and operational?
Okay, well, that's an excellent question. When you hear phases, and you've heard the governor refer to them, you have heard other agencies refer to these phases, the genesis of the phase strategy or process stems back to the recommendations from the CDC and the federal guidelines. It breaks down how to reopen, the tracing and tracking of coronavirus statistics. There should be a continuous downward trend for 14 days of cases and hospitalizations and other metrics that are measured to qualify to enter into the next phase. So this is all based on how the virus is responding to our actions. Now, we've heard the news as well as for some countries that have reopened. And because of whatever reason of not adopting social distancing, and now they are seeing that they have to establish additional orders to stay at home because there was no compliance. So in the city of Miramar, we were very aggressive in coming out to protect the community. We're one of the early cities to issue a state of emergency, to issue a stay-home order, and to issue a mandatory a facial covering order. With that stated, we will take the same measured approach as we begin to reopen, because the worst thing or the last thing we want to do is to create an environment where our residents, the residents that we care for and that we serve, are exposed to dangers. So that's why we are very measured in saying that as we do enter each phase, that we continue to over-communicate the importance of the fact that the coronavirus is alive and well, and we all must continue to adhere to these social distancing guidelines while recognizing that we have to begin to allow some way, some process for our small businesses to be able to begin to open their doors back responsibly so that they can earn money, because there are many businesses that may not exist after all of this is over. Because if we're going to ask individuals to stay home, we have to be able to be in a position to provide resources so people can continue to meet their goals, be able to achieve, all the things that they've been achieving prior to the coronavirus. But we have a new norm. We'll do our best to continue to keep the city safe.
Thank you, Mayor Messam. Now, we have quite a few questions coming in that need some clarification, sir. We talked about the number of cases, the number of positive cases in the city of Miramar. Can you reiterate that to our viewers? How many are we looking at as it stands today? Not the positive cases up to today, not that we have that many in Miramar, but how many cases have we seen so far in Miramar?
Well, since the state of Florida has been tracking positive coronavirus cases, the city of Miramar, since the inception of testing by the state, is at 400. Does not mean that 400 individuals, those 400 individuals are still positive. It's just that that is the total number of positive cases that have been detected. However, we all know that because of the lack of availability of testing to the entire population, there could be a lot more individuals that may be positive, especially residents who may be asymptomatic. They're showing no symptoms, their immune system, and for the benefit of that person is not expressing symptoms that is putting them in the hospital or making them sick. But they are coming into contact with other individuals and spreading the virus. And that is what the concern is. And that's why we are asking everyone to adhere to social distancing requirements, as well as all of the orders that the city has put out to keep the community safe.
Okay. Now, Mayor Messam, let's take some other questions. And thank you to the viewer who's expressing that they're proud of what the City of Miramar is doing for the residents. Thank you so much for that comment. Mayor Messam, a question. It says, so can salons and barbershops reopen? Can you talk about what that timing might look like?
Okay, so pending Broward County issuing an emergency order or an order that will open up barbershops, which is anticipated to be Monday, May 18th, barring any rejections or overruling by Governor DeSantis. It will take place on Monday. There will be requirements for salons and barbershops that they must adhere to. So just stay tuned. We are planning for this to be able to take place on May 18th. That is what has been discussed. And unless there is some objection from the governor's office to anticipate that date to be Monday, May 18th, the same day when Miramar is doing its phase 1 reopening.
Thank you for that. Now, talk about, for this viewer, what steps will be taken to monitor and contain a potential second outbreak in the city? Because this is such an important point. It's a national discussion. It's a local discussion. When you reopen, what steps are we planning to take to make sure we don't have a second wave of outbreaks?
Excellent question. Because of the fact, and these are the resources that are needed. The resources that are needed is continuous testing. We need a very strong contact tracing mechanism in place that will have to be supported by the state and Broward County to ensure that those who have tested positive and the individuals that they have come in contact with are able to be contacted. The goal here is to test individuals to see who is sick and who they've been in contact with, to get them the treatment and to get them quarantined away from healthy individuals who are healthy, so that they can continue to do their lives. The dilemma and the challenge is this. The coronavirus caught the world by surprise. We were unprepared for the coronavirus. And what we need to do is to allow the medical community to catch up to this virus. The challenge, however, is that we've put in emergency orders to stay at home, to comply with CDC guidelines in terms of social distancing and protecting ourselves. And we also have to recognize that with the impact on our economy, the impact on quality of life, that we have to put measures in place instead of just reopening and letting everything open, which is what the City of Miramar is against. We want to take a measured approach about reopening. So by identifying businesses that can reopen, providing the information and resources on how they can reopen and comply with social distancing, adhering to the city's orders to wear facial coverings. When these facilities and businesses begin to reopen, by complying and everyone's compliance, we will be able to do so in a responsible way. Now, there is no 100% guarantee that by reopening, no one is going to get affected because of these activities. But what we do know is that if everyone complies with the orders, complies and use basic common sense, and as the city continues to over-communicate what should be done in proper enforcement, that we will be a responsible city that is allowing the reopening of certain facilities so that we can get our city back on track.
Okay, Mayor Messam, and in between these, I'm going to relay the thank yous that are coming in. Great job for your measured response to the crisis, for keeping safe. Thank you for ensuring the residents of the city of Miramar are safe. And so to take some more questions, sir, we know that construction is continuing during this time. And a lot of people are wondering, can I interface with the building department to get my permit out of there? So this question says, when will the permit department reopen for inspections? Can you talk about the virtual aspect of the operation and when people can expect and how they can interact with the building department?
Yes, great question. In fact, I'm proud to say that the city's building department has never closed. We were accepting permit applications virtually online. Our actual physical facility has been closed. However, we have always kept our building department open. We restricted inspections for only exterior construction activity inspections, but now we have begun to do interior inspections. So we continue to ask our residents for their patience. The city has always accepted residential permit applications, and well on the way on the commercial aspect, but you can always call our building department for an appointment. You can always call our building department for any questions. What I'm encouraging everyone to do, which is maybe a little different, is the more you pre-plan your construction activities, meaning that contacting the building department, setting the appointment, so that you can ensure calling for your inspections in the appropriate time. Last minute requests are going to be very difficult to comply with. So let's all work together, do some prior planning for our construction activities so that it will put our staff in the best position to be able to service you in your construction needs.
Great, Mayor Messam, and we have about 7 more questions, and they're still coming in. Now it says, can you guys please refer to gyms and indoor sports training facilities? Can you talk about the difference with gyms and HOAs as opposed to gyms in freestanding facilities?
Okay, great. I'm glad this question was brought up. As many of probably the viewers know, that I'm a very active person. I do a lot of running. I work out in the gym as a former athlete. So I definitely miss the 2 gyms I share memberships with. However, getting back to the specific question, currently right now, the state of Florida has not allowed gyms to reopen. So that's the difference with the private gyms like your 24-Hour Fitness, your LA Fitness, Planet Fitness, all of those big box or even boutique gyms fall under these public gyms or private gyms or accessible gyms or membership gyms. Gyms that are part of a homeowners association, condo association, are treated separately. However, even though these gyms will be available to open in terms of homeowners associations, they will be required to not only enforce social distancing requirements for those gyms and those pools. They also have to comply with sanitation guidelines to ensure that the surfaces are clean, and they have to have strict compliance. In the city of Miramar, that will be a requirement in the city of Miramar. Otherwise, these amenities will not be allowed to open if they're not strictly complying with those requirements.
Perfect. Now, this viewer, Mayor Messam, wanted to know, I hear that parks will be open. However, the restrooms will not be open. Would you open the parks and not have the restrooms available to children and families? Can you speak a little bit about the rationale for not opening bathrooms in the parks?
Yes, I really appreciate that question. And the first phase 1 component of the city's reopening and opening up our 11 parks for some recreation activity. The purpose of the reopening for the passive activities, passive parks, is for you to go out for an hour or 2 to get some exercise, some sun, some fresh air, and then leave the park. The first phase reopening of these parks is not for long-term congregations of activities. We're not encouraging the congregation of individuals. So our thought process is that you're allowed an hour or two to go out into the park, enjoy those amenities in a passive setting, and then return to your home or to other business matters that you may decide to do for yourself and your families. Now, in terms of the restroom facilities will remain closed. At this point, in terms of phase one activities, the city is still preparing to be able to comply with sanitation requirements. Because if you think about it, every time a child goes up on a play swing and then goes into the restroom, every time and there's contact, that is an opportunity for the virus to be put on surfaces and to be transmitted. So there has to be very strict adherence to sanitation protocols and best practices to ensure that these surfaces are maintained sanitized and not spreading the disease. And the city is preparing and studying best practices to be able to best meet that requirement to keep you, your children, and your family safe.
Thank you so much, Mayor Messam. And someone asked about permitting again, that they've had a permit in the system for a while. And we're going to be trying to get a phone number or something that we can share with the group this afternoon that they can call to follow up on their permits. They can also do so online. But Mayor Messam, I just want to, give that suggestion that we'll get a phone number and share with this viewer as to how to connect with the building division. So we're moving on to our next question, and somebody gave a shout out to public.
Before you go to the next question, Ms. Gail, what I would say though, and just so the viewers know that I'm a general contractor and I understand the plights of the building and permitting process. So first off, as Ms. Gail stated, the city does have a website for our building department. You can check the status of your permit. As it is going through the review phase, you'll see where it is in the various disciplines with the information on there. If you are a client or a developer or a resident and you have a general contractor that is processing this for you, you as the owner can, as long as you have the permit information, as long as you have the address, you can search specifically for your permit so you can know the status, because it could be held, maybe there's some information that's been left out. Maybe enough copies were not submitted. Maybe some NOAs for product approvals or shop drawings that are required, and it's waiting for the architect or design consultant to submit that information. There could be a various number of reasons why it's being held up. But stay tuned, look on the screen. I think we're going to get some information up for you to be able to contact the building department. You can always email my office at wmessam@MiramarFL.gov. That's wmessam@MiramarFL.gov. And my office will ensure that your question is routed to the proper city staff to assist you.
Great. Now, the next question, and again, somebody gave a shout out to Publix on Miramar Parkway that they're doing a great job with sanitation. And that's only good news for all of us who have to go get the food that we have to depend on while we're sheltering at home. Now, Mayor Messam, this question, are masks required outdoors if you are more than 6 feet apart?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't hear you.
This question is about face masks. Are those required outdoors if you're 6 feet apart?
Well, if you're out for recreational activity, it's encouraged to wear it. It's not mandatory if you have 6 feet distancing that you're maintaining. But that's a personal decision. I just say, just take all precautions. Don't put yourself in unnecessary risk. You have to realize too that if you're on a run trail or if you're running next to individuals, you're breathing harder, you're breathing more heavy. There may be more droplets that you may pass by. You just never know. 6 feet is just it's a CDC guideline, but I would just err on the side of caution. And when you can, I run a lot and I carry a face mask with me when I'm out in the open. This is just me personally. I may have my mask off, but when I'm approaching someone else who's jogging or walking on the trail, I put my mask on as before I approach them. It's just a personal decision that I make, and I encourage you to be as conservative as possible when it comes to your health.
Perfect. And we've just put in the comment section the information on the permitting self-service, and all that information is there so our viewers can access. Now, Mayor Messam, somebody wanted you to elaborate about the impact of COVID on the city financially.
Yes, that's a great question. The city of Miramar, we have taken many measures in terms of protecting the solvency of the city. And the city of Miramar, in our budget process, every year we have allocations for emergency funds. We prepare for at least a couple of hurricanes per year. That's a natural process for us. We have standing protocols when we declare a state of emergency that goes into effect for emergencies. But the COVID-19 is a different animal. It's unprecedented. The city of Miramar will take some financial hits in terms of our general fund. Just as the state, just as the nation, a big debate right now in Washington is to have direct financial support for state, county, and local municipalities. We're asking for $500 billion to assist the counties and cities to address many of the challenges of meeting the demands of COVID-19. There are a lot of intergovernmental revenue sharing that the city participates in with the state and the county as it relates to the gas taxes and other the sales tax dollars and other funding that comes our way that we need to repair our roads and to take care of our infrastructure. And the state of Florida is projecting a 30% reduction alone, and that was a month ago. The new projections have not come out. That will have a ripple down effect down to the municipal level. And in the city of Miramar, we are making provisions to provide for that. We have addressed our departments and are made appropriate budget reductions to offset some of the revenue that we have generated. The city earned fees for services that we provide, which we have not been able to provide because the city facilities have been closed since the state of emergency nationally. So, but the city of Miramar will continue you can trust that the city of Miramar will continue to keep our city safe, continue to provide you safe water, continue to provide the essential services that you have come to enjoy over the years. So we are making the appropriate adjustments to adjust to the financial impact that not only Miramar is experiencing, but actually this entire nation is experiencing.
Awesome. Mayor Messam, just to take a few more questions. Now, this viewer wants to know, when will we find out the new guidelines that is required to reopen? And I'm assuming this is talking about our small businesses.
Okay, so the city of Miramar will be complying with the Broward County order that is anticipated to be released on Monday, May 18th for small businesses. As this order is released, the city of Miramar will communicate this order out as well, and to help give information to our Miramar businesses that will be able to identify the businesses that will be allowed to reopen.
Now, Mayor Messam, this question has to do with, the term flattening the curve. We're talking about nationally and globally. Are we flattening the curve? And so this viewer wanted to know, based on statistics for the city of Miramar, and we've been tracking those numbers on a daily basis. So based on those statistics, has our city been successful in flattening the curve, so to speak?
Yes, so the data that is received for the city of Miramar, the state of Florida provides 2 reports daily, one at 10 o'clock and one at 5 o'clock. And it tracks it down by city, down by county. It's broken down by county in terms of hospitalizations, deaths, and positive cases. And to the city level, we have limited data. We have some zip code data, which is not necessarily specific to Miramar. Certain zip codes like 33023 is part Miami Gardens, Miramar, West Park. Then you have zip codes like 33029, which is Miramar, Pembroke Pines. And it's hard to extrapolate specifically down to the municipal level. However, the curve will be determined by on a county level in terms of where we are doing on that 14-day trajectory.
Right.
The trajectory is coming down for our area. We all know that being in South Florida has 30% of all the positive cases in the state of Florida. That is why our area was not released by governor. Palm Beach County is now since released, and Broward, as well as Miami-Dade, is anticipated to reopen on May 18th as well. This data is being tracked. This data continues to traject in the right direction, and that is why we in the city of Miramar is over-communicating, over-emphasizing that regardless of where we may be over the next month and a half in terms of phasing opening, that you must comply with social distancing and you must comply with wearing masks when you are outside and when you're out in public.
So I guess that also answers this question: when will we know the guidelines for reopening barbershops and salons? That will come also with that executive order that we're anticipating to come down from Broward County. So that question is also answered in when the small business will get the guidelines to reopen. The barbershops and salons will be included in that group. But this viewer also wanted to know, where can I get information regarding the rental assistance and the requirements?
So the rental assistance, when there's two, I don't think I got a chance to talk about the small business portion, and I'll do that in a second. If you go to MiramarFL.gov on May 18th, the rental assistance program for eligible residents will be available. It's up to $7,000, and it will pay for 3 months of rent and utility bills for eligible residents. On May 18th, on the city's website, the required information and program information will be available on the city's website. On May 22nd will be the date the application period will open. So those of you who are viewing on this Facebook Live right now, we have this information, so prepare yourselves to get the information to see if you qualify for this rental assistance. Now, we also have the COVID-19 Economic Stimulus Grant. It is a pool of $2 million that is available for small businesses in the city of Miramar. It gives you up to $10,000 in rental assistance and utility bill assistance. And in both of these programs, the rental assistance and utility assistance will be paid directly to the landlord and directly to the utility service provider. And you can, for businesses, get up to $10,000. The business must have 10 or fewer employees, must be physically located in the city of Miramar, and applications actually just open today. So go on at 10 o'clock this morning. So if you go to MiramarFL.gov, you'll see the links for this economic stimulus plan funding for our businesses, and it's up to $2 million is available for our businesses that are experiencing challenges. For renters, residential renters, there's a moratorium on evictions. However, state did not put moratoriums on commercial evictions. And I've had calls and calls after calls about businesses, dentists, barbershops, small retail operations asking for some reprieve, that my landlord is forcing me to pay rent. We've ordered us to be closed. We're not earning any money, and this is some of the response that the city is trying to do in our way to try to help the small business community. It won't solve every issue, but we're doing our part to assist our small business community.
Thank you, Mayor Messam. Now, I want to fit the remainder of our talk within the next 10 minutes as we are nearing the 7 o'clock hour. But I want to take some questions, and you answered two of the questions that just came up about small business assistance. How much is it? And what about owners? So the homeowners, but the renters. The renters assistance is coming up on Monday. This is what about homeowner assistance? And I know that came out earlier on when COVID came out. The federal government put out some guidelines for assistance to homeowners. Can you talk a little bit about that and how they work with their mortgage companies to take advantage of the forbearance in foreclosures and so on?
Yes, there has been some programs available for homeowners. My recommendation and guidance that I would provide is that you contact your mortgage company who holds your services, your mortgage, and ask them regarding the programs that you are eligible for regarding COVID-19 relief. If your bank or if your mortgage company is receiving assistance, they should be able to provide that information on how you can apply it. Visit their website. They'll provide that information for you as well.
Awesome. Somebody wanted to know if they take advantage of the city's small business assistance, how long can they anticipate before they hear a response on their application?
So like in every application process, it first starts with a complete and accurate application. Those will be the applications that will be processed first. It's on a first come, first served basis. So that is why I'm encouraging everyone on the rental assistance side for renters, residential properties, go to the website on the 18th, get all of the application requirements so that you can get your documents together. So by May 22nd, it's together. For our small businesses, the application process started just today. So it just opened today. We have $2 million available. Businesses can get up to $10,000, have a complete application so it goes through. The funding is there. So just get a complete application. Once awarded, payments will be available. When I say immediately, it's not 3, 4, 5 months. Once you have been approved, payment will be available.
Nice. So in another minute or so, Mayor Messam, you talk about tennis courts within HOAs. We talked about pools and gyms that are contained within homeowners associations. Can you talk a little bit about tennis courts? Someone wants to know, will those be opened as well within the HOA?
Within the HOAs, to my understanding, just check with your HOA. They will be complying with all of the orders. Once the county's order comes out that will speak specifically to allowed activities, your homeowners association will provide you guidance. Now, you may have a homeowners association that may not. For example, if the county allows, let's say, single play on tennis courts, your association may decide that they're not going to take that risk and decide to keep your tennis courts closed. So you should have to talk with your property manager and inquire to see what your specific HOA requirements are.
So someone also asked about self-employed individuals and independent contractors, and I know that when you talk about self-employed, you have a myriad of operations that can fall within that. And I don't know that we have any stipulations against self-employment outside of the fact that, landscapers can still go, car wash can operate within the purview of those. So can you talk a little bit about self-employed individuals and independent contractors and how this phase reopening might address their situation?
Well, specifically for the grant program, I will share with you specifically what the requirements are, and then if there's follow-up questions regarding after hearing what the parameters are, you can be able to get your answers addressed when you visit MiramarFL.gov/economic stimulus grant, MiramarFL.gov/economic stimulus grant. Website will have all the contact information. But the requirements for the Miramar Small Business COVID-19 Economic Stimulus Grant is businesses may apply for grants of up to $10,000 for support with rental payments and basic obligations including utilities, sanitation, etc., to cover up to 90 days. Those are the parameters for what the grant can pay for. The business must be located within the City of Miramar boundaries. It must be a for-profit, privately owned small business with 10 or fewer employees. So that may address your question. If you are a registered small business, and if you have one employee, which is yourself, or if you employ one person, you should be eligible for this. You must be in business for at least 1 year, and there is no cost to apply. And the required documents are copies of your current city and county business tax receipts, copy of deed and proof of property taxes, current for businesses that own property. So you can own commercial property and qualify for this. Or a copy of your lease if you're a tenant applicant. And your business should be verified on has a SunBiz registration. So those are the requirements. If you go to that website, MiramarFL.gov/economic stimulus grant, you'll see all of the requirements that I just read off to you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Messam. So we're going to wrap up the next few minutes of this conversation by expressing a couple of the comments that have come from our viewers. A couple of them have said, our children are fragile possessions, so please keep them safe. Some parents are not acknowledging the safer at home order, so there's an increase in theft and so on. So we're admonishing everyone to observe the safer at home orders if you don't have to be out there. And as we go, we would like each of our panelists to just give some closing remarks to our viewers. And if we can start with Chief Palmer, the fire chief. Chief Palmer, could you just give a few last takeaways to our viewing audience?
Absolutely. One of the main things we want to definitely stress is stay aware of our latest information. Do you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Stay aware of our all the latest information and the CD recommendations on COVID-19 outbreak. Continue protecting yourselves and others from the spread of COVID-19. Continue reducing your chances of being infected or spreading COVID-19 by taking simple precautions that are really just simple hygiene maintenance, and that does quite a bit just on doing that. And continue protecting yourself and others from getting sick. The one thing we want to be able to do is to get through this, and we'll all eventually pass this, and hopefully go back to some normalcy. So everyone stay safe out there, and look forward to speaking to you again in a few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Palmer. Deputy Gordon, if you could give us some last words for our viewing audience.
Yeah, thank you. Our elected officials and administration are working diligently for a safe reopening. Everyone's safety is of greatest concerns, so please follow all the guidelines. The only way to combat this virus is to continue our social distancing, wearing our face covering, and follow CDC guidelines. So please stay safe. Thank you all.
Thank you, Deputy Gordon. And Mayor Messam, we're wrapping up the first in your series of conversations with the mayor. Could you just give any parting words to our viewing audience?
Thank you, Sean. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in this evening. It has been a very active and busy last couple of months. I'm dealing with the realities of coexisting with COVID-19. The City of Miramar is committed to ensuring that we continue to be cautious and take a measured approach while being sensitive to our stakeholders, which are our residents and our business community. Over the past few weeks, we have partnered with Feeding South Florida to offer drive-through food distribution at Miramar Regional Park. To date, we have fed over 9,000 families in South Florida, including medical workers. And we have made, we've even made personal home deliveries to our seniors and those who couldn't drive out to Regional Park. We have another drive-through distribution scheduled for tomorrow morning at Regional Park, beginning at 9 a.m. We have so many volunteers who have stepped up to help. We have many locals who are doing just a remarkable job in this community and reaching out, and we're showing the best of who Miramar is during this tough time. The greatest contribution we can all make is simply to do the basics. Stay at home, wear a face covering if you must go outside, and wash your hands frequently. I cannot overstate those three things, regardless of what phase of reopening we may be in, until there's a vaccine for this virus. To those of you who are already doing these things, please know that you are already doing your part. And for those of you who haven't quite gotten consistent with it, we implore you to do so. We have weeks, if not months, to go before this crisis eases, before we can reclaim our lives. Take comfort in knowing that when we're done with all of this, we will once again enjoy all that Miramar has to offer. Do know I do miss it. Once we get all of this back, we will stop and remember the sacrifice that we all had to make during this tough time. We realize how resilient our Miramar community is. I have faith in not only my colleagues on the commission and our city staff, but more importantly, I have confidence and I have faith in you. And I know when we work together, we will make the right decisions for the benefit of our community, and we will rise above all of this together. So I look forward to speaking back with you again in another couple of weeks with our continued series of conversations with the mayor. Those of you who know, I've always had this series where I would go out into the community having conversations with you at various establishments in the city, but now we're doing it virtually. And next, in 2 weeks, we'll come back and we'll announce our speakers and our panelists to provide more information for you. So just mark your calendars, 6 o'clock, 2 weeks from today, that we will do so. And we will have another informative update for you in the community. God bless you. God keep you. God bless Miramar.
Thank you so much, Mayor Messam, and thank you to all our panelists for joining us today. And most of all, thank you to our viewers. We could not have done this without you, but this information is for you. So thank you for joining us. And just to let you know, for the most up-to-date information on the coronavirus situation in our city, you can visit MiramarFL.gov/coronavirus or follow us on social media at City of Miramar. If you have not already done so, by the way, you can sign up at our website at MiramarFL.gov to receive our weekly emails, which include critical information, and we try to include everything that would be important to you. City facilities and services, school board updates, as well as updates from the federal, state, and local government. As the mayor said, join us again on Wednesday, May 27th for the business edition of Conversation with the Mayor. Until then, have a great day and stay safe.